an election? Do they even need this election? Is it marking an event, or does this have any consequences on Rwanda's future in the next 7 years?
Now, what's going on in Rwanda is called a political nonsense, because it's not an election that is going on. Yeah, it's actually, I think, an affirmation or coronation of Kagame. So, and of course, we have the donkeys in the race, the likes of Abinez and all that. It's not an election. No, it's not. That is a place where citizens have been pushed into some kind of corner. So they're going to the polling stations to just confirm their fear of Kagame. So they'll give him, I think, around 97% of the votes, and that will be it. So the world will be told Rwanda just held a general election and Kagame was elected president.
Again.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I mean, you're also talking about Rwanda's maturity or future in politics. You know, so what are we looking at if this is a situation that, you know, it's this coronation, like you mentioned? So what's the future then of Rwanda? What's the story looking forward?
Now, what's going on now? There's what we call a moment of reflex after a strongman has quit office, and you can see it in the Arab world, whereby we had very strong kings, and of course at some point, because of social media and all that, young people came out and, you know, they had to come out and flex their muscles. Yeah. So there was, now we're experiencing serious instability in so many Arab countries because of this Arab Spring and all that. So that's what's going to happen in Rwanda at some point. Kagame is going to be president, of course, from now to around 2034. Yes. So he'll have been in office for 34 years by the time he, you know, he's able now to get out of office. So that means if you are born in 2000, all the way to 2034, you'll be seeing one man as president. The whole time? Yes. But wasn't that our story back in the day also? Yes. So that means Rwanda has a problem. So that means you go back to the 1990s, a place we've been. So that is where Rwanda is. All the guys who are making a lot of noise talking about how Rwanda is a success story and all that, I don't think they're reading in between the lines. Rwanda is a serious political mess. But don't you think that Rwanda kind of like still needs Paul Kagame to be at the helm of the leadership? That is the propaganda that is being sold all over the world. The Rwandese people do not need that. They've been able to learn from their mistakes. And 17 years now, I think they've come together. In fact, what's going on, the Tutsis and the Hutus do not talk about tribe, not because they've chosen not to talk, but because of fear. If you talk about that, you're considered someone who denies the genocide and all that, and maybe someone wants to perpetrate tribalism, which will lead again to another genocide. So there's no room for conversation, you know. So guys are fearful, they're scared. Yeah. So it's not really healing, that's what you're saying. It's not healing, it's more of, I cannot say this because, you know, I'm going to be arrested. I could be arrested. Yes, that is the problem with and very few leaders are willing to come out and say there's a problem in Rwanda. Yes. Talking about Habineza, let's also put him into context. What kind of a man would he be if, you know, in the wildest world would be elected as president? Of course, I think when you look at him compared to Kagame, it's only that he does not have a chance, of course. He doesn't stand even. But saying that he had a chance, what would be different? He has an open mind. I've listened to him express himself. He has an open mind. He has a different view of what Rwanda should be. Rwanda should be a country whereby citizens are given the freedom to express themselves, including talking against the president. You know, the president's not some kind of sacrosanct figure who shouldn't be criticized. In Rwanda, it's not like that. Of course, we have a couple of stage-managed events where some guys can come out and pretend to be criticizing. Stage-managed events, you say? Yes, so as to portray him as this democratic and free kind of person who accommodates criticism. But that is not what it is. We have so many cases, and I've said it here a couple of times. We have so many incidents of guys who've taken off from Rwanda to some places like Johannesburg and even Kenya here, and they've been followed there and killed. So that is how bad it is. Someone like Kayumba Nyamwasa, the former chief of staff for Kagame, was shot and almost killed in Johannesburg. Another guy called Patrick Karegeya was killed in some hotel room in South Africa. A former minister for the Interior was killed in Kenya. So that is what's happening. If you criticize him and he gets to see you have a voice, he gets scared. He gets scared. So that is the problem. So it is not an election and it cannot be hyped. Yeah. That's why there's not too much hype about it, really. That is it. All right, let's now leave Rwanda and head out closer home to Uganda. Now, there's panic there. Of course, I know you've had that, you know, the members of parliament today were discussing about, you know, stocking fuel because they feel like, you know, what if, you know, there's a problem in Kenya? Are they seeing something that we as Kenyans are not seeing? Now, the possibility of a problem here is a bit limited because the dynamics of chaos in Kenya is precipitated by tribe. Back in 2007, when we had a problem, it was mainly concentrated in the Rift Valley.
Yes.
So we had one tribe, protesting against another, and, they were together. So that is where we had, that was the crux of the problem. Now, this time around, those guys are together. They're pushing from the same end. So that the kind of conflict that we experienced in 2007 will not be there. Of course, if there is a perception of unfairness, there will be pockets of protest, but it won't be as much. I'm not seeing any reason for concern.
It won't be 2 tribes against 5, because that's how the political alignment right now looks like.
Say that again?
Don't you think it's going to be 2 tribes against this 5 who've come together, the NASA coalition, because that's the political alignment that they've chosen to take. That's the direction they've taken.
It's unfortunate that is how it is. That is how some people think it is. Now, when we're talking about tribes, maybe someone is thinking about Kalenjins and Kikuyus against the rest of... It's not what it is. If you go to a place like Western, you'll find some pockets of support from Luyas, especially the Bukusus. So research companies that have gone to different parts of the country can be able to establish that. If you go to a place like the coast, you'll find some tribes supporting the president. So it's not per se 2 tribes against the rest of the country. It's not what it is. And I would like the media to help us in projecting the true image of what we have. Yeah, I think the president has support from, I think, nearly every tribe, maybe apart from one. Just like the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister also has support from nearly all the tribes. It's what it is.
It is what
and that is the message we should send to Kenya.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. So going back to the Uganda situation, what would have informed the kind of discussion they were having in Parliament? Now,
obviously there's fear, and we have a lot of careless talk. Unfortunately, our politicians are not leading the way in creating the kind of atmosphere we need as we approach a very contentious and closely contested election. So most likely they're watching what's going on, the kind of rhetoric we have, and they're concerned about the possibility of chaos. And I don't think they have a reason to be scared. Okay. And of course, the Tanzanians did not help. They decided to accommodate a tailing center there. But if you view that from a national security perspective, it's like the president of Tanzania is trying to help an opposition leader in Kenya to actually undermine a government. But on that, Abel, actually we have a clip I want us to run that the Foreign Affairs Minister came out and said that, no, there's nothing like that. We do not have a tallying center here in Tanzania. And we are objective. We're not, favoring any of the candidates. That's what they said. Let's actually just have that bite and just hear what the minister had to say. And we are objective. We're not...
Ni siasa ya Tanzania kuwa na marafiki wote, sio tu marafiki wa kiserikali, lakini pia marafiki na kutambua vyama mbalimbali vya siasa. Na sisi Tanzania hatujawahi, hatuthubutu na hatutathubutu kuingilia siasa za nchi nyingine, na hasa nchi jirani na rafiki kama Kenya. Na kama kuna utundu huo unafanyika, labda na watu tu wenye kucheza na mitandao na nini na hivi, watu hao wakidhibitiwa na kukamatwa watachukuliwa hatua kali sana.
All right, so the Foreign Affairs Minister, they're just talking against, that tallying center. So, do you indeed go with what he's saying that, there's no tallying center? It looks like you have some inside information, Abel.
But actually, I think there's a tallying center there. And
for the opposition?
Yes, it's an open secret that the president of Tanzania, I think, has been a bit biased in his views regarding the Kenyan election, which is not a problem to me. The problem is when he seems to be supporting a segment of the Kenyan political class against another. And it so happens that the side is not aligned with is the government. So I don't think it'd feel so nice if the president of Kenya decides to side with an opposition party, running against him, and even allowing them to run a tallying center from here. That is actually, I think...
That's if we indeed,
if it is there.
If it's there.
If it's not there, that is okay. I'm hoping I'm not correct in that.
All right.
If it is, then I think that is a serious sabotage. And what we need to avoid is careless talk from politicians. Last time there was a claim, of course, by guys from NASA that the military is being mobilized to help in rigging. Now, Kenya has a problem. We had a problem in 2007. In 2013, we had, of course, pockets of violence here and there. And the possibility of chaos cannot be ruled out as much as, of course, the political dynamics have changed a little bit compared to 2007. So the point is, the security operators have to work together. They have to consult and get ready just in case of anything. So I don't think the police, working together with the armed forces and all that, to make some kind of coordination before the election is a sign of rigging.
All right.
So when you make careless remarks about the possibility of rigging and all that, Kenyans get, you know, anxious and they get scared. So we prepare them psychologically to fight. When it's possible, there's nothing to
when there's nothing to worry about.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Abel Yeye, for speaking to us. He is from the Center for African Progress, talking to us about some of the big stories that have taken place this week, and also what we're expecting, especially with the Rwandan general election or coronation, if you like. All right. So we are